All right. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell is on trial in federal court. Unfortunately, the federal court rules do not permit cameras to be in the courtroom. See whether that they change that way 2000 and late, as far as I'm concerned. But in any event, we have our very own Adam Klasfeld, that is the managing editor at Law&Crime.com, that is with us. He's been covering the trial from inside the courthouse. As you know, Ghislaine Maxwell is being charged with multiple counts surrounding a conspiracy, prosecutors say, to work with Jeffrey Epstein to commit numerous acts of grooming of young women, some as young as 14 years old, in order to violate federal crimes. Some of the most serious with is enticing a minor to engage in interstate travel for the purposes of engaging in illegal sex acts, among other things. These are sentences, if she is convicted, that could put her right away for essentially the rest of her life. Adam, I know you're doing a great job out there. I'm dying to hear what is your opinion about the mood in the courtroom? Is the prosecutor delivering the receipts here, or is it, as some people have suggested, this is a situation in which they couldn't get Epstein, they didn't charge her originally, Epstein died, committed suicide and/or other, whatever it's officially as suicide, and then they had to go after Ghislaine as the scapegoat. Adam, is the defense making movement here, or the prosecution in your mind?
Well, one thing I want to emphasize right off the bat, we're still very early in the trial. This is the beginning of week 2. Week 1 started with testimony by the first accuser, Jane. Now, people have made certain statements about whether or not they believe the cross-examination of Jane was effective, but there were also corroborating witnesses who came later in that week. Now, this week began. This morning, we've been listening to testimony from the second accuser, who's testifying under the pseudonym Kate. Now, the government had a setback very early on where it was ruled by the judge that she would instruct the jury that Kate is not one of Ghislaine Maxwell's victims of the crimes charged in the indictment because she was over the age of consent in the relevant jurisdictions. That was the judge's ruling. Now, she's testifying today to establish, as you were saying, Bob, the grooming allegations, this pattern and practice of Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly grooming Jeffrey Epstein's victims for sexual contact. And here we heard stories that we heard earlier in the trial that Kate testified that she was groomed by Maxwell to give a massage for Epstein. She testified that on the first meeting, she was asked to give his feet a good rub, that basically saying that she's much stronger than she appears. She says she was 95 pounds at the time. And that was the entry point, she claimed, to sexual contact. It began with that comment. It continued with other massages, sexual contact. And in that regard, because you're asking me about the strength of the prosecution or defense cases, again, this is anticipated to be a 6-week trial. And what the stories are doing here is they're building on one another. The jury cannot consider Kate's testimony to convict Ghislaine Maxwell of any crimes that involve her, because she is adjudged not to be one of Ghislaine Maxwell's victims. However, if they find that her account matches other counts in ways that establish this pattern, that could be pretty damaging to Maxwell. So again, to kind of answer your question a little bit indirectly, we're in week 2. It's going to be anticipated to be a 6-week trial, and the testimony builds on one another. And, you can look at any particular direct examination or cross-examination in isolation, but when considered in tandem with the other witnesses, we've had Jeffrey Epstein's former pilot, we've had Jeffrey Epstein's former housekeeper, it leaves a very different impression than when we take a snapshot from any direct examination or cross-examination from any particular morning or afternoon session in court.
Yeah, Adam, it does. It all builds up. I wasn't able to watch the trial last week. I was away on business, but from what I'm hearing you say, the judge ruled that this person could not be a victim. However, it's just because our audience loves these kind of things. It seems to me the judge is allowing the testimony, however, under evidence rule 404B, which basically says it's kind of like Cosby, where you can introduce other act evidence. And while that person's not specifically a victim, it can go to other things limited only to motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, or a custom and practice that is being employed. And then the judge gives a limiting instruction to the jury as to what they can use the evidence for and not. Do I have that right? Because I didn't see it. Is that what you're talking about?
So I'd have to review the transcript to see the precise federal rules of evidence. So I don't know if, like Cosby, you mentioned other bad acts. I didn't hear specifically other bad acts being cited as the rule of evidence. In the general outlines of what you said, absolutely. The judge gave a limiting instruction saying that you cannot convict Maxwell of any crimes related to this particular witness. Now, what the boundaries of that are, I'm going to wait a kind of closer view of the transcript as to what the judge said.
You fact check me, Adam. I'm pretty sure if it's 404B, but we'll see, because that is one of the most powerful prosecution rules that you have to really know inside and out. And it's kind of nuanced, but it sounds very much that's where it is. Adam, talk to me a little bit about the mood in the courthouse and Ghislaine Maxwell and/or her defense team. Are we gaining anything from them as to their thoughts?
I've been saying all along, and this has remained true all along, she seems very engaged in her defense inside the courthouse. Every day that I've been physically present inside the courtroom, she's exchanging notes with attorneys. She seems relaxed. She seems, one might say even confident. And you see a kind of stark contrast, as I like to point out, between her demeanor right now and what we've been hearing has been the conditions of her confinement lead up to trial. Remember, her attorneys have been making allegations for more than a year now that her lockup in a Brooklyn federal jail has been pretty brutal. They claim that her attorney-client communications have been interfered with. They claim that her food has been inadequate, and that there have been grisly conditions that one of her attorneys compared to Silence of the Lambs, comparing her to Hannibal Lecter. Now, when we see her in court, she's vibrant, she's confident. Her rapport with her attorneys is unaffected. She sometimes makes little expressions toward the witnesses. It's a little obscured because, again, we're in the time of COVID, and so her face is obscured by a mask. But with a couple of the witnesses, there was a moment that I've mentioned in the past with Jeffrey Epstein's pilot, made a remark during one cross-examination about, Ghislaine likes to shop, and she appeared to chuckle under her mask. So it's definitely an appearance of confidence, of that she appears to be relaxed. She sometimes gestures to her family members who are in court, turns to look at them, and that's what we're seeing inside the courtroom.
All right, Adam, your eyes and ears there in federal court. Always doing a great job. As always, really appreciate it. Managing editor of Law&Crime.com. We'll be checking back with you, Adam. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you. You as well.
Hi, this is Dan Abrams with exciting news for all of our Law and Crime followers on YouTube. You can now get the live Law and Crime Network with YouTube TV for all of your daily live trial coverage, legal news, expert analysis, and original true crime programs. Subscribe to YouTube TV today, and then locate Law and Crime in the channel guide. And for only $1.99 a month, you can add the network to your bundle. Watch Law and Crime every day with YouTube TV. We put you in the jury box.